For the first time in history, we're locating and loading illegal aliens into military aircraft and flying them back to the places from which they came. And very importantly, America is respected again. We're respected again. Isn't that nice? You know, after years of laughing at us like we're stupid people. And as you saw yesterday, we've made it clear to every country that they will be taking back our people that we're sending out, the criminals, the illegal aliens coming from their countries. We're taking them back, and they're going to take them back fast. And if they don't, they'll pay a very high economic price, and we're going to immediately install massive tariffs. It'll be placed on them and other sanctions, but the tariffs, I told you, most beautiful word in the dictionary. And as we are fighting hard to get birthright citizenship or automatic citizenship for the children of illegal aliens, that's another way. It's automatic citizenship for children of illegal aliens. That's the other term that they use, which is actually more accurate, more understandable. And it's ridiculous. We're the only country that has it, and certainly the only country that has it to that extent. And it wasn't meant, if you look, it was really meant for children of slaves. This is when it happened. The children of slaves, it was not meant for everyone to come into our country by airplane or charging across the borders from all over the world and think they're going to become citizens. It's not meant for that. It wasn't meant for that. And hopefully at some point the courts will understand that without having to go through a whole big deal. This was meant for the children of slaves. And look at the timing of it and you'll see. And I hope judges will understand that. And it has to stop, because it's really hurting our country very badly. In the coming weeks, I'm looking forward to working with Congress on a reconciliation bill that financially takes care of our plans to totally and permanently restore the sovereign borders of the United States once and for all. I'm bringing the taxes down from 21 to 15%, but only if they make their product in America. So if they make their product in America, we're bringing it down. So if you think about it, we took it down from 40 to 15%, but again, you keep 21, but you go down to 15 if you make your product here. We are going to have so many business moving back into our country. And remember, again, the word tariff. We're going to protect our people and our businesses, and we're going to protect our country with tariffs. And you got a little indication of that yesterday with what happened with a very strong country. Colombia is traditionally a very, very strong-willed country. If they don't make their product in America, then very simply they should have to pay a tariff, which will bring in trillions of dollars into our treasury from countries that never paid us 10 cents. We're not going to let that happen. We're not going to let them destroy our country. In the words of President McKinley, who is the tariff king, the protective system invokes the highest law of nature, that a self-preservation, and that is self-preservation. There is every reason, founded in justice, why the American producer should in every way be favored against a foreign producer whose products compete with his. This is our natural market. We have made it. We have made it at enormous cost, capital, and exertion. And think of this. And we did that through exertion and brain and muscle and guts and stamina. We preserved it against foreign wars and domestic conflicts at great sacrifice of men and women. The foreign producer has contributed nothing to the growth or development of this country. So if you want to share with the citizens of the United States our home market, then you must pay for the privilege of doing it. In other words, you have to pay for the privilege of coming into our country, taking our jobs, taking our product, destroying our countries. We mentioned North Carolina, the furniture business, what they've done to these great artisans. I used to go down to North Carolina all the time to buy furniture for hotels that I was building. And they had the most incredible artisans. That whole thing was wiped out by China mostly, but others. And just wiped out, but it's going to come back. It's going to come roaring back. It's all going to come roaring back. We're going to put tariffs on outside countries and outside people that really mean us harm. They want to, well, they mean us harm, but they basically want to make their country good. Look at what others do. China's a tremendous tariff maker, and India and Brazil and so many countries. And so we're not going to let that happen any longer, because we're going to put America first. Always put America first. That's what's going to happen. We're going to establish a very fair a very fair system where money is going to come into our coffers and America is going to be very rich again, and it's going to happen very quickly. It's time for the United States to return to the system that made us richer and more powerful than ever before. Do you know the United States in 1870 to 1913, all tariffs, and that was the richest period in the history of the United States, relatively speaking. In other words, relatively. And they set up the Great Tariff Commission of 1887, and this commission had one function: what to do with all the money that we took in. It was so enormous that they had no idea. It was a blue ribbon committee. It was set up 1887, and what to do with all of the money that we had. And again, Teddy Roosevelt was a beneficiary, because when McKinley was killed, he took over this vast sum of money, and he did all of those national parks and all of the other things. And I'm not knocking him, but he was given a vast amount of money. And that was all made through tariffs. We had no income tax. The income tax came in 1913. As I said in my speech last week, instead of taxing our citizens to enrich foreign nations, we should be tariffing and taxing foreign nations to enrich our citizens. Does that make sense, right? I'm also eager to get to work with Congress on the largest package of tax cuts and reforms in American history. We've got to get that done. And we don't want to get hung up on the budget process. We just want, whether it's one bill, two bills, I don't care. Let these guys, they're going to work it out. They're going to work it out one way or the other. But the bottom line, the end result is going to be the same. We want to have all of those benefits. And we want to keep people's taxes low and actually make them lower. And that's not just rich people. That's everybody. It's, frankly, proportionately the lower scale, much more so than a higher scale. Not only must we permanently extend the Trump tax cuts, if we don't, you're going to have about a 60% tax increase. But I also intend to keep my promises, starting with no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, and no tax on overtime. We're working very hard to get them done. And Canada's taken massive amounts of, they send us millions of cars. We don't need them for that. We want to have the cars made in Detroit or South Carolina or many other locations, whether it's union or not union. But I said to him, so when is this plant going to open? He said, well, we're going to start it in a couple of months, and it'll be open in about a year and a half. It's the largest plant in the world. I said, I'm not happy with that. And I said in my next speech that I am going to charge them, if it takes 100% or 200%, no car is coming in from Mexico into the United States without a massive tariff. And I said it 3 or 4 times. And what happened is about 2 months later, I see that same gentleman who was in the audience, and I said, I want to see him backstage after I'm finished with the speech. And I met him backstage. I said, John, let me ask you, what happened with that plant? Where is it now? He said, sir, China's canceled it. Why? Because they think you're going to be elected, and they thought you were going to charge big tariffs on the cars coming in, and it doesn't work if you're going to charge. So they canceled the plant, and Detroit now will breathe, and we're going to do just the opposite. We're going to have these companies come in, and they can build that plant if they want, but they have to build it across the line. They have to build it in the United States.